Hi, I'm Bill and welcome to the Retro Sofa. As many of you know, my wife is a booktuber, and on BookTube they have a thing called a haul video, and I thought I'd have a go at doing that, but in a retro games sort of way. So I went down to my local retro games shop. What do you want?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
In the interest of BookTube, I would like to point out that I think haul videos were done by Makeup first.
Okay, I'm borrowing an idea from Makeup Tube called a haul. And living in Germany, I'm very lucky to have a local retro game shop. There aren't that many here as there are in the UK, certainly not as many as in the US. My local retro game shop is a little store in Freiburg called Sammelfieber. And it's run by a man. He's very nice. He has many, many things. It is a tiny, tiny shop with many, many things. It has exactly enough room for a person to go in sideways like this and look at all the games on the way past. Very, very tight in there, right? And I go in and I say to the man, hello, I would like to look at your Super Nintendo games, please. And he says, oh, I've got all of these 3DS games here that are really interesting. And I said, that's really nice. I would like to look at your Super Nintendo games, please. And then he goes, but did you see all of these PlayStation games that I've got here? Look at all of my PlayStation games. And I go, those are very, very nice, sir, but I would like to look at your Super Nintendo games, please. And then he said, oh, Nintendo, I've got some Nintendo games at the front. And he shows me all his NES games. I'm fairly interested in the NES, so I have a little while looking around the NES games. I say, have you got any RPGs? And he says, yes, I've got Zelda 2 in French. Great. Got any in English or German? He says, no. Fine. Can I look at your Super Nintendo games, please? And he relents. And the reason he has to relent is because they're behind the counter. So you've got to sidle round this little shop. You've got to sidle round a little corner. You've got to sidle round another little corner. And then you've got to try not to step on all the things because they're all of like little controllers on the floor, stuff that's fallen over. Like, it's untidy in there, especially when you get to where the Super Nintendo games are. Also, his wife's behind the counter, his dog's behind the counter. They have to sidle out. I have to wait outside the shop while they creep out before I can creep around. Anyway, eventually I get to have a look, and the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 games are around there. Didn't find much that interested me Super Nintendo wise, but I did grab a whole bunch of Nintendo 64 games pretty cheap. So let's have a little talk about what I found and why. This will be a little bit sort of casual video, a little bit spoilers for upcoming videos maybe, who knows. Right, so first thing is Wave Race 64, classic game. I used to have Wave Race 64 when I was a kid. I don't know where it went. It's possible it's here somewhere or in one of the boxes. I've had a look, it's not turned up, so I bought one.
Wave Race! Good! Good! Everybody behind you!
Aww, everybody's behind me.
Okay.
It's so encouraging. Max Power, he's the man with the name you'd love to touch. Music's awesome in this thing. It's got such a nice vibe. You know, sort of chill music, jet skiing around, the waves feel great. Bonsai indeed. It's a racing game, but it's cozy, you know? Really cool game, Wave Race 64. If you haven't played it, you should play Wave Race 64 if you like racing around on a jet ski. And for the time, the graphics were amazing. The water physics were great. Good game. Second game I picked up was Forsaken. And Forsaken is kind of like Descent, and I've had a go at playing Descent, and I think it's the sort of game, and I've had a go at Forsaken as well actually, and I feel like it's the sort of game that I should enjoy. I don't, really. I find it a little bit difficult to sort of move around and stuff, but I'd quite like to give it another go. I know that theoretically it is a good game. Das stillgelegte Atomkraftwerk ist der Schauplatz für ihre ersten Raubzüge in das Zentrum der Mechanoiden. Sounds good.
Das Spiel beginnt. Vor dir lauern unvorstellbare Gefahren. Nur dem Sieger gebührt alle Ehre. In Forsaken zählt kein Versagen.
Pretty quiet German there. Pretty sure I heard Das Spiel beginnt. Otherwise, don't know. Oh, there we go. Whoa, I have no idea what I'm doing. Motion sickness warning needed for this one, I think. Oof. Found a mug. Have some coffee. Gefeuerte Treffer in 18%. Do we think that means accuracy? It's not good. This is what it must have been like playing games in the 90s if you're German, because I'm just clicking through all these menus with no real idea what any of them mean. I sort of went on a bit of a first-person shooter kick. Quite like a Nintendo 64 first-person shooter. So I found Quake. There's Quake. That's Quake. Now this is a port of the PC original Quake for the Nintendo 64. When they did Quake 2 for the Nintendo 64, it was a new game. It wasn't a port, new game, new levels, based on the PC levels, but new levels, without so much kind of verticality, not so much looking up and down, because you're playing it with a Nintendo 64 controller, and they knew you'd be playing it with a Nintendo 64 controller, so not so much up and down. This was designed for a mouse. But I'm curious to play it and see what it's like on the Nintendo 64, kind of a follow-up to the SNES Doom video, I suppose. So that could be quite fun. You can jump across, can I? I don't know if I can. One can jump across, I suppose. A lot of people have trouble with first-person shooters on the Nintendo 64. I watched someone play, I can't remember which one it was, but I remember watching someone play a Nintendo 64 first-person shooter for a video on YouTube, and they ended up changing their look to the C buttons and using the stick to move. Analog walking, digital looking, which obviously doesn't work. You've kind of got to get used to your hands being the other way around, you know? You've just got to deal with, ooh, that's water effect. You've got to deal with your right hand being used to move and your left hand being used to look. Except in GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, which have twin stick support through using two controllers. But yeah, I've always kind of been okay with it because I had a Nintendo 64 back in the day and played a fair bit of GoldenEye. This is my first time playing Quake 64 though. It's very bright water. Lots of coloured lighting in this version. Yeah, one of the few Nintendo 64 games to have loading times. Just to build the map. Oh, that's quite pretty. The next one, again, continuing on the FPS theme, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. Now, I may have made a little bit of an error. It's a German version, and if you know your gaming history, you will know that Turok in Germany was heavily censored. It's going to be quite interesting to have a go at that. I didn't own this when I was a kid. I had friends who did, and I played it a bit when I was younger, when it first came out, so give that another try. There's no humans, you're shooting at robots. That's how censored it is. It's similar to Contra Probotector thing, but obviously that affected all of Europe, but this just in Germany, Turok was heavily censored. What's interesting though, is that I looked this up. If you bought Turok back in the day in France, you would have it in English. Same with every other European country. If you bought it in a non-English speaking country, the game would still be in English, except in Germany, because they had to open the game code up and remove all of the violence from a first-person shooter, effectively, and make it a game about shooting robots. And while they were in there, they did a translation. So Germany was the only country that got a full localization of Turok in Europe because it had to be heavily censored according to the German government. So, neat, I guess. Finde das Runenzentrum und benutze die Schlüssel, die Leveltür zu öffnen. Alright. Not only did they turn the human enemies into robots, they got rid of all the blood on the dinosaurs as well, so you just get these like little purple sparks to show you've hit something. And took away the death animations. Even though they are robots, you couldn't have an animation of someone shooting a robot in the neck. That would be awful. 4 Schlüssel zu finden in diesem Level. Feels like a lot. So it's very much the era of first-person platforming, wasn't it? Oh, Nintendo 64 first-person shooters have not aged well. None of them have. And this one has aged worse. Okay, well, whatever. Just a haul video, right? We're going on a theme. Turok 2. So Turok 2, same kind of deal. This is the censored German version. If you bought Turok 2 in another country in Europe, I believe it had language selection, but the German specific censored version, similar censorship to the first one I believe, is only in German. I have exactly enough German to do my job and to speak to my mother-in-law, so we'll see if I have enough to hunt dinosaurs. I don't know.
Sei gegrüßt, Turok. Ich bin Aiden. Die Ältesten des verlorenen Landes, bekannt als Lazarus-Konkordanz, haben mich entsandt, um dir beim Kampf gegen den Primergen behilflich zu sein. Der Primergen versucht, die 5 Energietotems zu zerstören, die ihn im Wrack seines Raumschiffs gefangen halten. Sollte es ihm gelingen...
Well, that sure is a German unskippable cutscene, eh?
Dein Auftrag für diese Welt lautet: Aktiviere 3 Warnleuchttürme.
Learn German. Oh, okay. We're on. Oh, that is some slowdown straight from the off, isn't it? I presume in non-German version you should see some blood there. Having to look up in a Nintendo 64 first-person shooter feels unfair. I don't know. Definitely having a what have I done kind of a feeling here. Continuing in the same vein, I picked up Turok Rage Wars. Now, I will be interested to find out what happened in German politics between Turok 2 and Turok Rage Wars, because this is not censored. This is not a specific German version. This is the full, uncensored Turok Rage Wars experience. I don't know why, but that's a thing that I could look up. Did a government change? Did a law change? I don't know, but that will be interesting to find out. Petrify, the power is yours. Okay, how do I do that? Never mind. It's very Unreal Tournament. Massive damage. Massive damage would be great if I could hit anything. I did it, I guess. Alright, as Rage Wars. And the last game, Turok 3. Oof, blood. It'd be kind of cool to be playing this bit, huh? It was all a dream. Choose Danielle or Joseph.
I will bear the burden of my fathers.
Good.
That must be the breach Adon talked about. I have to get there as soon as I can.
Oh, so can I just... guess not.
That must be the breach Adon talked about.
But I have to get to the breach. Not that way.
That must be the breach Adon talked about.
Oh, it's a lift. Unexpected help. Well, these are just Half-Life style chapter titles, aren't they? What, no guns behind the desk? I thought this was America. Nope, bit missing. Can't tell which. Not a doctor. Yep, we keep our boiler room key in the crate. Where else would you keep it?
The police mean business. I should steer clear of them.
Deadly force has been authorized.
It's good advice generally, I think. Hello, do you have a gun? Excuse me. Oh. That police brutality.
Stay behind the barrier.
Guess This is America. So I've managed to find in this little shop in Freiburg a complete collection of Nintendo 64 Turok games, and quite excited to have a go at that one, but kind of feel in order to have a go at Turok 3, I have to finish all the others first. The only two I've played before are these two, are Dinosaur Hunter and Rage Wars. So I'm going to have to replay Dinosaur Hunter, going to have to finish Turok 2, probably have to play Rage Wars, I think it's quite good, and then I'm going to have to play through Turok 3. And part of the reason we're going to do that is because the Turok series was very much a follower of FPS trends in the 90s. So Turok, the original, is very much a kind of Quake, Unreal inspired, straightforward FPS. And I think it's Turok 2 that came out after Half-Life and suddenly became a lot more story focused, albeit in this case in German. So I'm going to have to learn a lot of German. But nonetheless, that's what happened. And then Rage Wars came out following the trend of Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament being a sort of multiplayer only kind of shooter. So that would be interesting to maybe do a little bit of a Turok series down the line. Anyway, for the whole lot, for the 7 games, I paid €60, which is pretty good. So if you happen to be near Freiburg and fancy a trip down to Sammelfieber, have a look. Might find yourself a bargain if you can squeeze your way through the shop. Anyway, done a little video games haul here. Maybe you can tell me what I'm getting myself into with any of these games, because apart from Wave Race, which I know very well, I haven't actually played the others very much at all. Have a chat in the comments, like and subscribe if you want to see a series about Turok, I suppose, on the Nintendo 64. And thank you for joining me on the Retro Sofa. Ta-ta!